Welcome to the Social Impact Journal. My name is Jack and I'm your host, and this is the podcast where I talk to the change makers driving social impact around the world. This week I'm speaking with Chloe Ford-Welman, the Foundation Director at the Haller Foundation. Chloe, thanks so much for joining me on the show. It's great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So, Haller Foundation. Let's go from the start. What is the Haller Foundation?
The Haller Foundation is a UK registered charity and Kenyan NGO, and we are a partnership between Haller UK and Haller Kenya. And essentially our whole work is focused on supporting smallholder farmers in Kenya to build sustainable livelihoods through regenerative agriculture and nature-based solutions. We've been running now as a non-profit since 2004, so we're in our 20th year this year. And now we're actively scaling up beyond Kenya as well, so working in different partnership with different organisations.
Amazing. Is there any special celebrations for the 20 years coming up?
Yes, we will be having a 20th birthday celebration and fundraiser in September.
Nice.
So yeah, it's going to be a good evening, we hope.
Yeah, amazing.
Evening to celebrate.
So what's the history? So what's the name behind Haller?
So Haller takes its name from a man called Dr. Rene Haller. Dr. Haller went to Kenya in the late 1950s, and he originally was a horticulturalist and naturalist from Switzerland, and he was brought out by the cement factory to come and grow food for the local cement factory workers. And he saw this completely barren wasteland that was created from mining all of the limestone to make cement. And he just asked the director of the cement factory if he could bring life back to this land. So he basically spent his lifetime trialing and experimenting different agricultural techniques in this kind of coastal plot, and transformed what was a barren quarry into a flourishing forest ecosystem with more than 2.5 million living trees, endangered flora and fauna throughout. And crucially, he didn't just want to focus on the ecology side of things. He knew that wasn't going to be sustainable. So he worked to generate 47 different eco-income streams for the local communities in Mombasa to get involved in this project and to earn an income, boost the local economy. So that's kind of why the Haller Foundation was founded, with this kind of vision of ecology and economy. And if one man could transform this wasteland, what could smallholder farmers do living in that same region? So that's why in 2004, we were founded by Louise Piper and Julia Hales, together with Dr. Haller. And we became this UK registered charity, Kenyan NGO partnership. And essentially the UK exists to raise funds and provide strategic direction for Haller Kenya that delivers all of our projects on the ground with local communities.
Wow, what a fantastic story.
Yeah, so it's quite cool.
Yeah. So what time span? So you said Dr. Rene Haller arrived in Kenya in the late 50s, and by the time that he had 47 income streams and all of that great work, how many years?
So there was a bit of a process to this. So he started restoring the land in the mid-1960s. Okay. And I would say that it went on for the next 40 years, kind of the restoration efforts. It took about 10 years to create enough humus for different plants and crops to grow in that space. So originally he started planting 26 different types of trees to see what could take root in the quarry. And there was one tree that took root directly into the limestone, and that was the Casuarina pine tree. So he successfully managed to plant a forest of these Casuarina trees, but obviously the issue there is it's a monoculture. So you're not diversifying the species that's within that space. So he introduced a local millipede that came in and ate the pine needles that were dropped on the ground from these trees, which over kind of the next few years started to generate a humus, a really rich, nutrient-rich humus that eventually he could start sprinkling different seeds, birds and insects would come in, eventually snakes and other animals. So over time, it kind of expanded, and they actually started felling the Casuarina trees as well. So other indigenous native species could grow. And then obviously that wood was used for timber and other purposes as one of those income streams. But now it's got 2.5 million living trees throughout it, which is quite impressive to have that thinking and to have that patience, really.
Yeah.
And what he always says is it's not what he did, it's just giving nature a helping hand. So he essentially created the space for it to grow and to thrive in a really beautiful and natural way.
Amazing. So the charity was then set up, and you said ecology and economy.
Yes.
So is that a tagline of the charity?
That's our vision, yeah. So ecology and economy. So ensuring that both ecosystems and communities can thrive together in harmony.
Yeah. Great. So what's then the model? I've read that there's the Haller journey.
Yes.
So I think leading on from Dr. Haller's work, what is the Haller journey that the charity is running? So
the Haller journey is essentially our holistic model for sustainable economic development. So as I said, the reason we were founded was because we wanted to support smallholder farmers living in that same region who were living on degraded landscapes, to grow food sustainably and to build self-sufficient livelihoods. The Haller journey, it starts with water security, because you can't grow food without any access to water. You can't farm sustainably without any water available. So we work with the community to build wells, eco-loos, rain-fed dams, and also harvest any rainwater that's available as well. And once water security is in place, the community embarks on a 2-year farmer training program. So first focused on kind of soil regeneration, basic food production, and then once those basic agricultural skills have been learned, they move on to a more advanced farmer training. So beekeeping, fish farming, different enterprises that can generate them a sustainable source of income. And the training is done both at our demonstration farm in Mombasa and also within the community. So we bring the community members to our demo farm, and so they can see how the techniques work. And we really believe seeing is believing. So showing them how different techniques support one another, and then going back with them and replicating those techniques on the community lands. And then stage 3 of this journey is, which actually runs throughout, is health, education and enterprise. So ensuring the communities that we work with have access to Haller's health clinic and our mobile outreach, and ensuring the children that we work with have access to education, as well as providing kind of enterprise programs, so they can take the skills that they've learned over the past 2-3 years and generate a sustainable source of income. And then stage 4 is when technology comes in. So we've essentially digitized all of our sustainable agricultural knowledge that Dr. Haller and the team have championed for 65 plus years now, and made that open access through a mobile app. So it was originally created as an exit strategy for the smallholder farmers that had gone through that journey with us. But then we've seen the kind of the growth and the global reach of the app. So it's now expanded as not just being an exit strategy, but also being able to support smallholder farmers beyond our physical reach as well.
So I was going to ask the demo farms that you had, I was going to ask, how are you scaling those demo farms? You have one in Mombasa that local smallholder farmers can visit. So you've been able to take the knowledge and then get that digitized into an app that then could be used elsewhere, or how have you digitized that type of content?
So the way that we've digitized it is quite visually, to be honest, and making sure it's interactive. So the Haller model for sustainable farming, this has been developed by Haller Kenya for many years now. And it works in a way, it's designed in a way that it supports a female smallholder farmer that's often the main caretaker of the land, with a family of 9. And it's designed in a way that it's essentially maximum output with kind of efficient input. So it's a square plot design. It's 1,000 square meters, and we've also got a downsized version as well, where essentially you can grow food in a sustainable and effective way without putting in too much energy. Because obviously if you're one woman with eight children running around and minimal resources, you need to be able to make sure that the way that you're farming is in a really efficient and sustainable manner.
Yeah. So how long is the whole process of the Haller journey? Because you're doing so many different components to the program.
The Haller journey usually takes about 4 years. Okay. So usually about a year for each stage. But as I said, the health, the education, enterprise, and also the technology now really starts at the very beginning as well. So it kind of runs through all the way until the end. And then when the communities have reached the end of stage 4, they're often self-sufficient. So we can step back, but they'll be still supported by the Haller Farmers app.
Yeah. A few questions. So how do you select the groups that would go through and start a new, maybe is it cohorts of the Haller journey?
We don't select the groups.
No.
The way that one of the key things that we've learned over the years is you can't go to a community and say, you need this infrastructure, you need this training, these are the benefits. Often they come to us and it's done on a demand basis, and also understanding the needs, the challenges of the community, how willing they are to embark on this program, because it is a significant commitment of time. So there has to be a real kind of willingness and incentive for them to do it. Often we've seen that one of the communities that have gone through the Haller journey would increase in size over the time because people will navigate towards it because of the infrastructure available within that space. Okay. And then it gradually does expand, but often you'll also see the neighbouring communities come forward to embark on this journey. So we've got 56 communities in Mombasa that have gone through this over the past 20 years, and they're all in relatively close vicinity. So I don't think any are farther away than 60 kilometres within our kind of areas of operation, because they've seen the infrastructure, they've seen how it works. Like I said, seeing is believing. When you see something improve that drastically, you want to be part of that as well.
And then size of the communities, on average, how big are the communities?
It ranges. It totally depends on the community. No community is never the same. Some you'll get one that could be kind of 400. Some could be 1,200. I think our biggest community we've worked with is 1,500, but not all of the individuals within that community come through for the training. So you'll get, the way that it works is we'll identify kind of champions within the community, and they will be selected to come forward for the training to then go back and train their fellow neighbours and community members. So it's a kind of taking a training of trainers approach.
So what kind of results have you seen through the Haller journey for those communities that have got to the end of the four-year programme? Well,
I think in a nutshell, it's self-sufficiency, but also it's a holistic impact where you've got drastic health benefits, a reduction in waterborne diseases because you have clean water infrastructure, regenerated landscapes, diversification of food, economic benefits because there are different eco-enterprises happening within the community. Also, really strong community cohesiveness. So you'll find a lot that community members gather at the wells and at the dams because it's a space for engaging with one another and building stronger relationships.
So this is mainly working in Kenya now. I know we'll get onto it a little bit later about global growth. But I want to understand how you engage with youth in terms of getting the interest in agriculture among young people in the communities.
Yes.
What have you seen in terms of reaction and feedback from the youth?
I mean, youth farming is another really big element of what we do. So at our demonstration farm, we don't just have community members come for training. We've also created a youth farming program where we work with local schools in the region that previously would come as kind of an after school curricular activity. And essentially the whole focus is on re-engaging young people in agriculture and making it seem like a viable career path, because I mean, Kenya's got one of the most rapidly growing youth populations, I think, in the world.
Okay.
So there's a huge need to re-engage them in this. And they've also seen the generations of their parents struggle in this space because of climate change, because everything is becoming harder to farm. So they don't see this as something that has a lot of prospects or could generate them a lot of income in future. So it's about re-engaging them in agriculture, making it seem exciting. They come, they have their own plots at the demonstration farm, they grow their own food, and then they take home what they grow. So it's really kind of a very practical lesson in sustainable farming, using minimal resources, no chemical fertilizers or pesticides. It's all kind of what's available to you in your back garden. So far we've had, I think, 7 schools go through this program, but in recent years, Kenya's actually added agriculture to the curriculum. So it's changed as well a bit, because now it's actually a necessity, which is amazing, because if they come to the demonstration farm, they can see how it's done in a really creative and unique way.
So this is the work in Kenya.
Yes.
I know you have big plans to grow your work globally, and especially on the tech side. And I'm really interested to learn more about how you're planning to take this from Kenya to the world.
So the reason that we're expanding globally is because self-sufficiency is obviously focused at the very heart of what we do as an organization and the way that we work with communities. But the vision for our organization, and this was kind of established by our founders, was you don't just want self-sustaining communities, you want a self-sufficient organization, local organization in Kenya that doesn't need to rely on UK funding. So over recent years, in the past decade, there's been significant efforts to boost Haller Kenya's sustainability as an organization. So they run entirely on renewable energy. They have a nature sanctuary as well, which is a huge hub of ecotourism. They also have an education center and a health clinic as well, which generates them income, as well as providing training at the demonstration farm. And through these activities, they actually now generate enough income where they no longer need to rely on UK funding to deliver their work to communities. So this left our UK arm in this really interesting position, whether we either close up shop and kind of cease to exist, or we scale up the impact and we start supporting different organizations in different regions that might need access to the funding or the support to deliver projects with communities. So there are a few ways that we're doing this through technology. We have the Haller Farmers app, as I mentioned, and it's been going through a lot of development in the past year to enhance its user experience, its features and functionalities, so that it becomes more accessible and inclusive to farming communities beyond Kenya. At the moment, it's just available in English and Swahili, and obviously there are so many more farmers that this could benefit. So we've gone through various development programs to enhance the app, which will be coming out in the next few months. And as part of this as well, we understand that the app has so much potential to go beyond Africa and beyond agriculture and livelihoods as well. There are so many different organizations out there that might not have the funding or the capacity to create an app to share their knowledge and their expertise with their beneficiaries. So in line with our ethos of providing knowledge, open access, we've actually done this with our technology as well, through a white labeling framework. So we can essentially license out our app and enable different organizations to tailor it towards their own brand, towards their own knowledge and their expertise, so that they can kind of piggyback off Haller's technology to create their own apps in a really streamlined and effective way, and essentially kind of scale their collective impact at the same time.
So talk me through that process. So if I'm a local organisation and I can license the Haller Farmers app with my branding, then in terms of the content, so if I would need to provide the content and put it onto the app, or how does that work? Yeah,
so exactly. So it can kind of go both ways, is that, again, if there's information within our app, then, and you would like to have that on your app, we have no problem with that. It's already available. So we would very happily put it on a white labeled application as well. But also I think the focus point is that we want different organizations with their own knowledge and their own expertise that could be in a totally different cause area that might have spent years developing all of this knowledge and expertise and delivering it through their programs, but they want to expand that access to that knowledge so they could input that into their app with their own content, their own visuals, audio, whichever way would suit their beneficiaries most effectively, essentially.
And how are you planning to partner with those organisations to then raise the funds to deliver those programs? So
we're co-fundraising because we want our partner organisations to also take on that same kind of ethos of self-sustainability. We understand that obviously you might need a helping hand at the beginning, and that's what we're there for. So we would actively co-fundraise to deliver these partnerships. With the hope that in the long term, these organisations could become more self-sufficient. They'd have a new network of donors, credibility, and a lot of experience to take on to scale their own missions without needing us as kind of a joint partner.
Yeah. And is there any particular countries that you're looking to expand into?
At the moment, we're working to white label an app in India, which is very exciting. Okay. So we've actually done this for an organisation in Romania about 3 years ago. So we do have a Haller Farmers app in Transylvania, and hopefully within the next 6 months, we'll also have one in India. So we have a partner organisation that's very like-minded to Haller, but obviously you can't take the agricultural techniques and indigenous plants and species from Kenya and apply them to farmers in India. Yeah. So we've essentially white labeled our technology together with them so they can use our framework for the app, but input it with their content, with the relevant languages, and design it towards their users. While our app would exist for farmers within Africa. So with the existing Haller Farmers app, we're always looking for new content. We're collaborating with different local organizations across Africa, adding multiple languages, and that will happen on a rolling basis. So it's hopefully continuously evolving to become more accessible and more relevant.
So a lot of our listeners on the podcast are leaders of non-profits and community-based organisations in sub-Saharan Africa. So if they're listening to this show and they're thinking, how can we get access to the Haller Farmers app? What is that process of partnership looking like?
It depends on which way they want to go. I mean, the app is available to download freely from iOS and Google Play Store. So if it's something that they'd like to adopt and utilise within their own operations, they can do that completely freely. The more the merrier, essentially. We want people to use it. If there's information that they have that they want to see on the app or languages they want the app to be in, it's as simple as kind of reaching out to us, doing a bit of due diligence, and then bringing in that information. Once this new app goes live in the next few months, it'll be a very straightforward process to adding new content, adding new languages, and it would be more tailored to that user in that specific region.
And is the app for, let's say you have field staff of a non-profit, is it for them to use to train communities, or you can also use it as a farmer to learn directly on the app?
I would say it's both, to be honest. We understand that there's obviously still a huge challenge around affordability and accessibility of smartphones in sub-Saharan Africa. Often it might be an extension worker of an organisation that has the smartphone, or one or two individuals within a community. So we want to encourage them to use it. But with the new development, we're also making it available through kind of mobile phone usage as well. So if you even have a simple browser on your phone, doesn't have to be a smartphone, you'll be able to, if your colleague or your friend or your neighbour says, oh, there's an article on here, there's content that you would be really interested to learn, they can send them the link. Okay. So it would still be accessible for kind of a mobile phone that doesn't have all of the features of a smartphone. So we're trying to expand its accessibility as much as possible, still keeping it a simple, very lightweight, easy to use tool. Obviously, a user with a mobile phone might not be able to download the entire app, but they'd still have access to that information that they wanted if they could get that sent to them through one of their contacts.
And then in terms of connectivity, which is also a very key challenge in rural communities, how do you overcome that barrier?
So it's offline usage. Users can, when it's obviously you'll need data to download an app, but if there are articles on there, you can simply download them or save them so that you can go back onto the app when you don't have connectivity and you can still access the information that you've previously searched for. So you do have to save it, but at least you can access that when you don't have connectivity in your village.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing the updates of, when the new app comes out and, hopefully many partners can start to adopt the technology.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to share it with you, and it's been a long journey. The app's been running actually for 10 years now. It was originally created as a web app in 2014, and then we redeveloped it as a smartphone app in 2019, just on Google Play, iOS in 2020, and now in 2024 we're expanding it again and then white labeling it as well. So
amazing. So you have the 20 years birthday for the organisation and the 10
years of the
birthday
app
for the
well.
app.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how did you get into this space? Was this your first role within the non-profit in the charity sector?
This was my first role within charity sector, and I've kind of worked my way up through the organisation. Previously came on to actually redevelop the app, and also do a bit of marketing communications, and eventually over time my role expanded into partnerships, operations, and eventually I became foundation director. And actually the reason that of this journey is part of the reason I'd say is in line with kind of Haller Kenya's self-sustainability that our founder had helped achieve after so many years, and us scaling up our impact. It was also decided by our board of trustees at that time that had also been on the board for a very long time, that they wanted actually a younger generation of people to lead the organisation and lead it as it scales. So we have a new board of trustees. I became foundation director. I think everybody on the board is under the age of 40, I think.
Wow.
So it's a very kind of young, diverse mindset. We've got trustees in the UK and in Kenya. So bringing together different skills, different minds to kind of help scale this and make it as innovative as possible.
That's so refreshing to hear. How long have you been the director for? Yes.
I've been the director since end of 2020.
Okay. And what would you say some of your key learnings are since you took up that post?
Some of my key learnings, I would say, to be collaborative with different people and different organizations. I think you're always stronger together. There's no point trying to reinvent the wheel or try and do everything on your own. If you can access expertise from people that have done things already or might provide guidance in that, then I'd say definitely use it. And I would say build a really strong board of trustees. We're really lucky because we've got 9 individuals that are really engaged, really motivated to see this, and to have, as a director of an organization, to have that support from above as well is really motivating and really kind of exciting because it enables a lot more growth, I think. And love what you do. I think believe in what you do, and I think it'll go far. You'll make a difference, hopefully.
Amazing. Look, Chloe, thanks so much for joining me on the show, sharing insights about your own journey and also the Haller journey. If some of our audience wants to reach out to you or the organisation, where can they find you?
Thank you so much for having me. If anybody wants to reach out to me, they can email me. My email is chloe@haller.org.uk. We have our new website that actually went live this year as well, so they can get in touch to us that way too. If you're a partner, if you're a company or just an individual that wants to learn more, you can get involved, or through social media as well. We're active on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, so lots of different avenues.
Amazing. So One final question, and it's a question I ask to all of my guests. So if you have your own social impact journal and you have one page in that book to write a piece of advice, so in this particular page, it will be for a young non-profit leader that is just maybe taking up a senior role. What piece of experience or advice would you share with them for the start of their journey?
I would say, don't be afraid to ask for help. I think working in the non-profit space, it's not about competition, it's more about collaboration. And I think to utilize that and really adopt that, I think will make a big difference, because everybody in the non-profit space, the majority of people are trying to make a positive difference. And why not kind of learn from their experiences? You'll never know everything, you're always learning. So learn from other people that have kind of gone through similar journeys, I would say.
Thanks so much, Chloe.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for watching this episode with Chloe. If you enjoyed the episode, please share with your colleagues and friends, and make sure to follow or subscribe on the platform you're listening. See us next Monday for next week's episode. Thanks so much for watching.